Have you ever wondered why we go to war, or why you never seem to be able to get out of debt? Why is there poverty, division, and crime? What if I told you there was a reason for it all? What if I told you it was done on purpose? What if I told you that those who were corrupting the world, poisoning our food, and igniting conflict were about to be permanently eradicated from the earth? You might think that it is an idealistic fantasy, and yet it is the reality. There is something wrong with this world. Its disease goes beyond criminals, beyond acts like breaking and entering, beyond stealing your phone or wallet. Criminals, as we know, are those who choose personal gain over the rights of others and have no regard for the law. But here's where you need to expand your thinking. There is an agenda at play. This agenda is anti-human. Think about it. Every area of life that is essential to humans, whether it is the water, the food, the atmosphere that is being changed by things like technologically generated radiation, or even the nature of the body being manipulated. All these different essential areas of human life are being targeted. Thus, this is an anti-human agenda, and it is being carried out by things that are certainly not human. We are awakening. We see the dark ones for who they are, for what they are. Just because many truths have come to light as of recent, do not mistakenly believe that this plan is new. It dates back millennia. Sentient, non-human species with advanced technology have made our planet their stronghold. Pain and suffering is cultivated as a means of nourishment for them. Turn on the news, it is nothing more than a mix of truth and lie, an unending kaleidoscope of death and destruction, war and hate crime. Any good piece of news is filtered out or rarely sprinkled in to help alleviate suspicion. After all, we know good things happen all of the time. Why do we hardly hear about it on television? The intention is to keep your thoughts negative, to hijack our manifestation to keep the negative flowing. Those influenced by the dark or the dark species themselves, wearing a human skin, they have infiltrated business and politics. They can be elected as our leaders. If they became a president, imagine what they could achieve. They could use the full weight of their executive power to commit much larger tragedies and ensure they and their friends were enriched to the fullest extent possible. A compromised president could create alliances with other compromised presidents and then collaborate on more global criminal activities. Anything goes. Drug running, human trafficking especially. You don't want to know how those trafficked are used and what for. Why do so many of our children go missing every year? And why does it seem the media could not care less about it? The 20th century was turbulent with more economic disaster, famines, and displacement. We have always accepted these things as just human nature and simply the way the world works. The so-called weaknesses of human nature drives us to these actions, and this is where we were all tragically wrong. None of this is human nature at all. There is a clear anti-human, dark, alien element. We do not have it in us to take and traffic human children to violate or literally eat. That is not even remotely a part of human nature, but it is, say, the nature of many reptilians. It is a result of something more deliberate. We were taught that capitalism was the cause of a massive rich-poor divide, and the reason for poverty, which in turn is the reason for war, crime, and starvation. Others were taught that communism, a system of equal wealth across all people, was really to blame for the mess. But you see, folks, it is none of these things. It is not our nature to fight and be racist. It is not in our nature to rob from others. What you must learn is that it was them and their satanic influence all along, quite literally. Yes, they got power, rose to the top of media companies that control our news and entertainment. They became leaders of agricultural companies who have control over our food supply. Also, big pharmaceutical companies, the ones we trust to help us when we're sick. Nobody stopped them, and they just recruited criminals, clones, everything they have access to help them. They first accumulated the world's wealth and invented a system of money called central banking. It lends money to governments with interest, placing countries into eternal debt. People lost wealth. They gained it. A lot of it. When these creatures are as rich as they can get and protecting their ill-gotten gains becomes a priority, angry people tired of being poor become a major obstacle. They can rise up when they decide enough is enough. The criminals, the cabal, need to prevent this. They move to pit us against each other, divide and conquer, After all, nobody was happy having to work 3 jobs just to survive. So they used their control of the media to set black against white, woman against man, young against old, Muslim against Christian with consciously reckless and inflammatory, racially charged so-called news. We are far too strong together. So where are all the good guys? Good people just want to get married, have kids, make a living, and enjoy their freedom. Well, there were good guys. One became the President of the United States in January 1961. He knew about these criminals. He knew their intentions for us all, but sadly, he had no idea how powerful they had become. Reagan also had good intentions for the American people. He knew about this Khazarian mafia controlling almost everything. His economic policies were promising. To hold on to their power, Reagan was shown with a bullet that a growing U.S. economy and prosperous citizens were not what the criminals wanted. Every time someone wanted to stand up and do the right thing, they got stopped by the deep state. The world got worse. Destroyed factories, declining job numbers, sicker people, opioids, destruction of Iraq, Syria, Yemen, with pointless war, identity theft, displacement of people in Europe, ISIS terrorism, collapsed governments, poverty and genocide, total misery. But here's where things start to take a turn. Where are all the good guys, you ask? Right here and now, fully activated. As the energy of the earth began to swell, the Schumann resonance began to spike off of the charts. The presence of him grew more and more apparent. Behind the scenes and behind even that, a man by the name of King John Smarty pushed the necessary energy forward to turn the tide on the cabal. Think about it. Hasn't something been different these past few years? Many predicted the world would worsen apocalyptically, but it didn't. Elites, so-called royalty, bad actors, deep state actors, many have disappeared. We don't hear from them anymore, or their appearance has vastly changed. The Lord came as a lamb, but he will come back as a lion. And that is exactly what happened. Sananda Galactic, Yeshua, King of Kings, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. This has nothing to do with religion. This is the truth. He is back, and that is why Trump points at the sky and reminds us he is the reason things are going as well as they are. Bad things continue to happen until the world wakes up to them. Then these bad things go away. What happened to FEMA camps? Were we not all supposed to be imprisoned in them by now? That did not go along with the bioweapon injections. What about the powers that be going door to door to force us to take them? Project Bluebeam? Those ships in the sky belong to King Smarty. I assure you, Project Bluebeam has long since been dismantled. Children are being found and returned to their homes. Drug rings, human trafficking rings are falling one by one through the efforts of good people backed by the love and protection of their creator. The masses are waking up. Their lies fall on deaf ears or are finally being seen through. False flags can no longer get off of the ground, and their disguises are finally fading. They are desperate enough to create fake medical terms like demon face in an attempt to sow doubt in those able to see their true faces. More and more are following King Smarty and being taught to push energy to reinforce our manifestation abilities to bring about real and true change. Free food and school supplies, programs to enrich those who better their own health and help others. Taxes are starting to disappear. The wealth transfer is underway. Minds are clearing, hearts are growing. Everybody is coming together despite their divide and conquer tactics. The cabal is disappearing, and so is a compromised and corrupted economy. But don't worry, a new system runs alongside it, waiting for our Creator's perfect timing to truly come online. King Smarty, the Jedi he taught, also known as the Blue Hats, his crew, Source, the Light Brigade is here. It isn't going anywhere, but the dark forces are. They're on their way out, snarling and hissing all the while. Pay attention, keep your mind clear and your energy high. Help somebody today so your problems and issues can fade away just like the deep state is. They thrive on negative energy. Starve them. Let aggression wash past you. Smile and feel good knowing the light is here. It will give you strength and protection as long as you stand against the cabal, the dark forces, criminals, and anything else of that ilk. There is nothing to fear. Their time is up. Your time is now. Prepare for the golden age, an age without them, for you. An era of abundance, an era of love, an era of light, togetherness, unity, and happiness. Turn off the television, the distractions. Turn on your mind, your discernment, your intuition. Tune into good so the bad fades away.